Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. A lot of you have been asking me to make this video for a while now, and I've been putting it off because I did have a lot of issues with my Hoya last year, and I honestly almost gave up on them entirely, but I think we have turned a corner with them and they're looking a bit better now, so I figured we'll go ahead and do this video. It's gonna be my Hoya cabinet tour, the Milsbo wide right behind me. First, I'll show you all the plants that are up top because I'm actually very proud of them. They're probably the highlight of that cabinet for me, even though they're not even in it. But we'll go ahead and look at all of the Hoya in there. It is a little sparse right now, I would say. I mean, not completely sparse, but it's not completely how I would like it to be, if that makes sense. I have a lot of Hoya on some other shelves and other places in the plant room that I would love to put in there eventually, but I'm still on the tail end of some of the root mealy issues that I was dealing with. Plus, I have another project I've been working on for the plant room that I will show you guys soon. It is almost to the point where I can show you, but for now, we'll do a little updated Hoya tour. I did one over a year ago, so this is going to look completely different than how the cabinet looked last year, and I think that's really cool. So we'll go ahead and give it a tour. Nutmeg might be nosy, he might not be, but we'll just go ahead and see how it goes. So here is the top of my Milsbo wide. We'll go sort of from left to right here. This is the plant you would have seen on my channel quite a bit before. This is my Anthurium crystallinum. Damaged leaves and all. I absolutely love her. She's really great and has sized up quite a bit in my care. There goes Nutmeg, just having a good time. This is probably my favorite alocasia that is left in my collection. I just watered it, so it'll perk back up in a little bit, but this is my alocasia scalparum. It is absolutely gorgeous. I call these crocodile leaves because it just sort of reminds me of crocodile skin, and it's very easygoing. It's a really nice plant. It puts up with my underwatering. It really loves the no drainage setup that I have in here for it, so it's just happily living life. It did have spider mites for a little bit last year, but I think we have those all taken care of now. Behind it, this is my Scindapsus jade satin, I believe. And this is from my friend Jacqueline over at Jacqueline's Jungle. She gave it to me as a small plant, and I've had it climbing. I also did just water it, and this leaf in particular looks thirsty, but it just got watered, so it should be okay. I am actually leaving tomorrow, so I went ahead and watered like all of the plants today. By the time you see this video, I will be gone. I'll be in South Carolina for the weekend, which will be so much fun. This is my variegated money tree, my sport vine. It's got a few new leaves coming out here. This plant is a lot of fun, very thirsty. It never looks like super happy, but I think I get it to be happy enough sometimes. So I'll just leave it at that. This is crooked here. Let me fix this. This is my philodendron subhastatum. It was doing really well on this pole until this leaf got stuck and decided to be tiny. So I don't really know what to do with it now because I was really enjoying the leaves that were sizing up. So I guess we'll just try to get it back on track. I don't know, maybe I should just chop it or something, but I really love that plant. The redbacks are absolutely my favorite. It's such a nice kind of understated philodendron. Behind it here, this is my variegated heartleaf. It's a really nice plant. It grows a little too fast for me. I feel like I'm always extending the pole, and it is leaning a lot because I did not put it on the pole properly. So we're just gonna go ahead and probably chop it this year and redo it entirely, and I think it'll look a lot better. Next to it is my favorite monstera. This is my Monstera siltepecana El Salvador. Absolutely gorgeous silvery leaves. I gotta get this tied up to the pole there because it's hanging off the side. I've got 2 strands climbing. This is getting stuck, and it's just amazing. I absolutely love this plant. It grows a little bit slower than the philodendrons next to it, so I don't have to worry about extending the pole too often, which is just another plus for me because the plant next to it, I got almost a year ago now, and yeah, it's already extended above the 3rd pole, which I just gave it, so this plant goes crazy. I love it though. It's a really nice plant. It's just growing so freaking fast, and it still isn't really attached to the pole, so I don't know what to do about that too much, but It's definitely gonna get up potted soon because it's in way too small of a pot to have a pole this big, which is also why it's leaning. So it'll get an up pot, and honestly, it'll probably live on the floor in the next couple months because it's just way too tall for this area. Finally, oh, I skipped this one. This is my Stanleyana Hoya that I just repotted recently. I put it on this climb pole from Propagation Diaries. It's a little bit different than the poles from Grow Thickly. I'm really liking both of them so far. They're doing really well. This plant I got from E&E Plants in San Antonio. I got it after my first Hoya died, and I was just really sad about it. And this one has been doing much better because it has a better balance of variegation. Whereas the first one that I got was actually too variegated and it just melted away. This is one of my oldest plants. It is not taking well to being repotted. We lost all of these leaves here. This is my Marble Queen Pothos. I absolutely love it. So I'm very sad that it's not doing well with the repot, but hopefully it'll recover soon because I just love this plant. And last but not least is my gorgeous Philodendron Rio. It's doing very well with the recent pole extension, and it's growing a few new leaves, and it's just looking so happy, so healthy. This is like my favorite section of the plant right here. I just love the silvery centers and the high variegation on these parts of the plant, and I could just talk about it all day, but you guys have seen it a lot, so we'll get to the actual cabinet part of this tour. So in here, this is my Hoya cabinet, and I'm actually going to go from the bottom to the top because the top row has my favorites, and that's just kind of how I like to organize the cabinet. So down here, this is my Hoya Diversifolia. It has this like weird mutant split leaf right here, which I think is kind of cool. Not my favorite Hoya, and it's struggled quite a bit so far, but it looks really nice when it's growing. It's just kind of struggling in my collection. Back here, oh, thank you, Nutmeg. He just closed that on his own. This is one of my many Hoya Matilde Splash. I have like 4 of them that I'm all growing in different areas. This one actually bloomed for me right here last year. It's kind of stuck back here with one of my Nova Ghosts. I have 2. This one just is awful. It's done nothing but lose leaves, so I'm not going to highlight that one. This is my Hoya Parasitica Black Margin Splash. Some of the leaves are pretty close to full silver, and this one is a really nice find that I got back when there weren't a lot of the splashy ones out in the market. So I got a couple of them, put all the splashy parts together, and it's just a really nice bouquet of Hoya. I really like this one. And the splash does Sunstressed Pink, which is very pretty as well. Behind it here is my Hoya Nathalie. Not my favorite Hoya, so I'm gonna kind of skip over that. This is my Finlaysonii No ID. It looks kind of different than my other Finlaysonii, so I have it separated into its own pot. It did have some root rot last year, and luckily I was able to save it. I did lose like half the plant, but it has grown this one leaf since, and hopefully it'll start growing again soon. I see sort of an activated growth point there, so looking forward to maybe getting some new leaves on that one in the near future. This is Hoya species West Kalimantan. I think it's like a no ID type. It's done nothing but grow this giant runner that I've actually cut in half because it was so long. Yes, thank you, Nut. He's just, I told you guys he'd be curious. So this one, I don't know, not my favorite either because it just doesn't do anything. This is Hoya AH027. It has grown a little bit. I chopped it in half just because it was growing kind of weird, but it does have this little peduncle in here that has kind of come up in the past few days. I don't know if it'll actually bloom, but hopefully. I really don't know what the blooms on this one look like, so that would be really cool to see. Behind it, this is one of my Hoya Jennifer. I have 3 actually, all in this cabinet. At some point I will put them together, but this one, well, maybe I'll keep this one separate because this was from my friend Jessica, and this is the happiest out of the 3. So really like that one. It roots really fast, really quickly, so I think I need to actually up pot it in the near future. Behind it is a little baby Matilde Splash. Like I said, I have a million of these. This one grew a leaf and then killed the leaf, and now it's just one leaf. I don't know if it'll ever grow again, but I keep it watered. It's in that tiny pot. This one I really like. I wish it would grow more than just runners, but this is my Hoya Michelle. I really like this plant. I've seen splashier versions of it, but it's just so pretty. I bought it as a 1-leaf cutting and it did give me this leaf, which is really nice, but ever since it's just been runners for it, so not exactly thrilled with it. That is another Hoya Jennifer over there from the shop that shall not be named. This is one of the only parts of that plant that survived. It was like a giant 8-inch pot. This is one of my 2 Hoya Memoria, also known as Chrysalis. This one was from my friend Jacqueline, and I'm going to repot it with the other one soon. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but this has been very happy, very healthy in my care. You can see it's growing a tiny baby leaf down there. It's got these new leaves, so very healthy. This is probably one of the better of my Mathilde Splash. So it's got these super splashy leaves down here, some less splashy coming up, but that's okay. Once a plant kind of has splash in it, I feel like it never fully goes away, so I'm looking forward to see what kind of comes out of this plant. It does have an inactive peduncle right there, and maybe someday I'll actually put all of the Mathilde Splash back together, but for now, I just have a bunch of different pots of them. So moving on up here, this is sort of the mid-tier Hoya. We're getting into some that I like a little bit more. This is a Hoya Crinkle 8. This is my non-splashy one. My splashy one is actually dying, so that's really upsetting because that was one of my best sport finds ever, but it just decided one day it wanted to die, so I'm stuck with a regular one, but that's totally okay. This is my original Hoya Memoria. I got it back when it was called Chrysalis. I bought this in, I think, Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, I did. The first time I was in Charleston, I bought this at a nursery, and it was in one of those, like, you see them with these tags all the time, these like super tiny pots. And that was in 2021, so that was like 3 years ago. But that's okay. So this guy is just gonna like hang out in this pot until I eventually combine it. I'm gonna put it down here next to the other one for now. It looks like slightly different in the leaf shape, but they are the same plant. This is my 3rd and final Hoya Jennifer. The leaves on this one are kind of like darker than my other ones, but you know, it did come from the same plant, so it's definitely a Jennifer. This is my no ID pubic calyx, which is kind of struggling right now. I don't really know what's wrong with it. It's just like always thirsty, always has these yellowing leaves. And I do think it's a Royal Hawaiian Purple, which is the plant next to me, which was also struggling for a little bit, but has started growing recently. I just haven't seen this one bloom, so I can't ID it for certain, whereas this one I bought it as a Royal Hawaiian Purple. But as you can see with them next to each other, they look practically the same. And this one does have like the dark stems that this one gets. So I'm just banking on it being a Royal Hawaiian Purple at this point. I would be very shocked if it wasn't. Next to it here, this is one of my favorites. This is one of my 2 Hoya Larry. This is a cross between Obovata and Fungi. You guys would have seen the other one that I unboxed to give as a Christmas present to my brother-in-law, whose name is Larry. And I can give you an update on that. He actually did love it. So I told him the whole story behind it. This is very hard to find. I think it's from Coco Ranch Hoyas if you want to find one for yourself. And sometimes they present differently. The other one I have has slightly rounder leaves than this, but you never know. It's a nice hybrid, so I highly recommend it. This is my Hoya Ganungading. I am kind of sad about this plant because it came to me with root mealies and it's taken a long time to get rid of them, and it's finally starting to root as a plant again. Here we go. Here's some roots. I thought this plant was a goner for sure, just because it took almost an entire year to get rid of them. And it is sun stressed really nicely in the meantime, but I'm looking forward to seeing a new leaf. That's when I'll kind of feel better about it, perhaps living for the long term. I feel bad because my husband got this for me for my birthday last year, and it's just been a struggle. I honestly would have thrown it out if it hadn't been a gift, because it was a lot of work. This is one of my favorite plants actually, but I had to reroot it a while ago. It's doing much better now. This is the Hoya Irina. I just love these round, splashy, veiny leaves. This is such a nice Hoya, and I'm really hoping maybe I can get it on one of those Propagation Diaries trellises, give it a repot, and it'll do much better for me, but that that's probably gonna be the thumbnail, honestly. Cat hair and all. Maybe I'll take off the cat hair on here, but you know guys, I have cats, so it just happens. But this plant is just absolutely gorgeous. I could not say enough wonderful things about this Hoya, and it's been very forgiving through all of the underwatering and the issues that it had, and it's very good about like putting out new shoots. I got it as this like small cutting, and it just puts out new shoots whenever it wants to put out a leaf. So I think it looks very full given the circumstances. I did just water it. I know it looks really thirsty, but it did just get watered, so it'll perk up in a little bit. But absolutely love that plant. Behind it here is the bottom cut of my Hoya mindorensis. It has activated a growth point right there. I am going to put it back in a pot with the cuttings that I took. It was just getting like really tall and gangly looking, so I took the cuttings. I don't know if this is the pink or the red flower. Mindorensis, I think it's pink or orange, so I don't know which flower it is, but I'm looking forward to maybe one day seeing it bloom. I know it's kind of an unassuming leaf right there, but I think it has nice blooms. This is my Hoya surigauensis. I got this back at one of the DC plant swaps a long time ago, probably one of my first Hoya, and it kind of hasn't done much ever since I chopped it. It's been trying to grow something here. Like, look at this. This is like very nubby, very weird. It doesn't look like a peduncle per se, but it's trying to do something. So I'm just trying to keep a better eye on watering this one specifically, so that maybe it'll give me a new leaf, because I do like it. It's a very pretty plant, but hasn't done much in a while. And then finally, this is my Hoya Daikie. I love this plant. I got it as a 1-leaf cutting. I was able to cut it in half after it grew quite a bit, and now it just keeps growing. It does have a new leaf growing weirdly in there, but this is a stunning Hoya. I don't have any plants like it. The leaf shape like this is very unique. It's got a nice little amount of splash to it, not too much, not too little. So I do very much enjoy having that Hoya in my collection. This corner over here is like my favorite plants on this shelf, and I think they just all go so well together. I like to think about that when I'm sort of curating the shelf, is just making sure all of the plants kind of go together and they're kind of grouped in some way. But finally up top, these are going to be all of my favorites up here. So starting here, this is my Hoya pubic calyx splash from my friend Carson, and it's sunstressed so beautifully pink. I absolutely love it. It's kind of hard to see with the way that the lights are set up in here. Next to it, this is my Hoya Rinsei Borneo. It took me so long to find one of these that was affordable, and I'm very happy with this one. It's grown a couple leaves in my care, not too much. I tried giving it a little stake, but that didn't really do anything for it, but it's okay. It might grow eventually, you know, spring's coming. I like to tell myself that. This is the Hoya Parviflora Splash. See, I like to keep the tags on it because sometimes I forget. This plant has been super bushy. It hasn't grown a lot since I got it at the Texas Aroid show, but it is very compact in there, which is something unique to this plant I haven't really seen on other Hoyas so far. So I'm just waiting to see if it does anything before I pass judgment on it. I do have my sundew in here. It's looking like it's gonna bloom again actually, which will be really cool to see, but it did bloom a little while ago. I just haven't chopped it off yet. But I really like having that plant. As you can see, it kills quite a few fungus gnats in here. Next to it here is my Hoya Wilbur Graves China. This plant is doing so well. It's got a few activated growth points right now. Its sun stress is pink with that splash, and I think it has a good balance overall on the plant of splash to green, and it's just one of my favorites in my collection for that reason. Back behind it here, this is a really cool one that I got in a trade last year. This is the Hoya species Bintulu Borneo, also known as IML 1646. I really like the abs on this plant, the splash, the leaf shape. It's been kind of growing somewhat steadily. It's got this vine that I'm trying to slowly attach to this plant stake, and honestly, I just think it's an underrated Hoya. I think it does really well here. It's really enjoying its life in this like moss and cocoa chunk mix. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about it, but it has become one of my favorites. I didn't hear about it until I saw that my friend had it, and I was like, can I get that? And we did a trade and it was awesome. The rest of these are going to be all from Sam's Hoyas. I kind of put all of my Hoyas from him in this corner. So this is my Hoya Sangii Inner Variegated. You can see a little bit of variegation there. Even if it doesn't come up variegated on these growth points, I didn't have a Sangii and this was like $10. So really liking this plant so far, hoping it grows soon. I did get it like a month ago, so still giving it some time. This is a reverted Lacanosa Asami. I did have my regular Asami in here, but I accidentally left it in water overnight, so I just chopped it and I'm gonna reroot it because I didn't want it to completely rot. So this was like a freebie add-on to one of his sales, so I've just been growing it like a regular Lacanosa. Next to it here, this is my Nova Ghost. This is a Carnosa variety. I love the round leaves and sort of that marbly splash on it. Much better than the one down there that just wants to die. But it's fine. This one grew this leaf for me right away and it's just been chilling ever since. So that's a nice one to have. This is my Hoya Silver Lady. One of the few that I got from him that just won't grow from me. But I'm thinking since it's got all of this extra space, I might just chop it here and see if that does this trick. Also some fertilizer might help, but it is sun stressing a little bit due to the light. Otherwise, it's just been a happy Hoya here. This is my Silver Dollar, which did grow a new leaf and then I dropped it and broke it. So that is totally my fault. This is where the new leaf was, unfortunately. Hopefully someday it'll grow again, but for now it just sits in the back there. Next to it, this is also one that I just got. This is the Snow Queen Silver, also known as XQ. I think that was like a rename. The new leaves are coming out kind of pink, which is really nice. I think it goes well with this iridescent plant stake. And this is one I definitely bought on a whim just because I saw it for cheap on one of his sales. And it's been very happy ever since, and I'm very glad I bought it actually. Next to it, this might be one of my favorite Hoya of all time. I did just get it in my most recent purchase as well. This is the Isensis 023, also known as Patcherwallii. I need to get tags on these newest ones, but it is happily growing a new leaf and I love to see it. I'm gonna get this plant trellised as soon as I can just because I love it so much and I want it to be happy. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous and I talked about it a lot when I bought it, but I'm in love with that plant. This one is the Hoya Wilbur Graves Thai. It looks absolutely no different from the China. They're just from different places around the world, obviously, but I wanted to have it. I wanted to collect them like I collect Lacanosa and like I collect Pokemon, and it was very affordable, so I figured why not get it, even though it looks no different, and I'm totally okay with that. The next one back here is the Hoya Rime Splash. It hasn't really done anything since I got it. It kind of reminds me of the Silver Dollar back there. It's got similar shaped leaves, very thick. I do love a thick leaf Hoya because they can tolerate my underwatering better. But this has been just easy going, just chilling out here so far. Can't really chop it, so I'm just keeping it watered and waiting for it to do something. Next to it here, this is the Hoya Prick Tie, another one that I just bought on a whim. It was like $25, $30. I'm loving it. These big, juicy leaves, they're pretty thick. They've got splash, they've got veining. They've been sun stressing really nicely. It's kind of hard to pick up on the camera. And then it put out this new leaf for me before killing off the vine for no reason. Well, maybe because I underwatered it, but you know, it's just what happens. And it's been just chilling ever since. Hopefully now that I'm on a better watering schedule, it'll grow again soon. Maybe I'll have to repot it because it's so big, but we'll get it all figured out. And then last but not least, this is my Hoya Lima Splash. This plant is absolutely adorable, guys. I can't say enough good things about this plant. It's really loving. The stake that I've got it on, I didn't have to tie it up or anything, which is a bonus. So I'm hoping now that it has some support, it'll grow some new leaves soon. But this plant is absolutely adorable. And I think the combo with this stake from Propagation Diaries is just a really nice combo. So that is going to be the Hoya cabinet. All right, that is it for my Hoya cabinet tour. I've got everything put back in order from when I was moving stuff around, showing you guys. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked. This is probably 2/3 of my Hoya collection. I've got a bunch more like on this side by the window, some back here, and then I have like a whole propagation greenhouse that I'll show you guys when I do an eventual like plant room tour, but that one's not really as glamorous. It's just cuttings that I take from my shop, but I'm really liking all of the plants in there. I'm really starting to edit out my Hoya collection to just have the ones that I really love, because with Hoyas, when I first got into them, I just went crazy, bought all of them, and then I realized I don't like all of these, and that's totally okay. Just gotta edit it out to have what you like. But if there's any Hoya that you have a question about, just let me know in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer anything about them. They're all pretty much the same care, to be honest, and I have them all in very similar growing methods, so I can kind of give an answer about any of them pretty confidently, just because they're all treated the same, and that's totally okay. But if you like this video, make sure to give Nutmeg and I a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.